All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Wednesday, March 12th, right here on your Daily Fix for all things Texas Longhorns on your Daily Fix. All in Horns, brought to you by Rogue Sports Network. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and a quick show for you today. We recapped all the weekend happenings on yesterday's episode, so go back and watch that if you want to hear our responses on the women's SEC basketball tournament, on the men's baseball sweep of Santa Clara. We are going to get into softball and their Ohio State Classic tournament that they swept through to finish up and wrap up non-conference play as they approach and get into conference play, taking on the Florida Gators, number 3 team in the country in the softball world. We're going to get into that today. Also, SEC men's tournament starts today as the Texas Longhorns will probably play their last game of the season against Vanderbilt here in just a handful of hours. And then lastly, we're going to wrap today's episode off with a Steve Sarkisian press conference. He spoke to the media earlier on Monday, and we are just now getting to that, and we will discuss some of the injury news that he gave us, updates on some certain players, and kind of where the program is headed in terms of this OTA-style offense and more of a pro look. And so we'll get into all of that, and then we'll get you out of here to enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us. If you're on your lunch break, if you're on your way home from work, no matter what time of day you are catching us, we hope that we give you your daily fix of all things Texas Longhorns. So, Jake, let's go ahead and get the show started. Men's basketball preview. We'll start off with that. Taking on Vanderbilt. I don't think we have a ton to talk about on this topic.
I wish I had a Looney Tunes sound effect on my soundboard that just went, that's all, folks. Granted, YouTube might get us for that.
Yeah.
But that's about how I feel. This is a game that's like maybe they could win, and then you go, whoa, if they win one more, because every time you say they're out of the tournament, they'll win a game, and you'll be like, well, I guess now they really actually only have to win one or two more games to make the tournament, and then they lose and don't. And
according to bracketology, they are the third of the first 4 out.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a spot where 2 wins possibly get you in the first 4, like the first 4,
the first or the last 4 in.
Yeah, the last 4 in they'll play in date.
Yeah.
Possibly still wouldn't lock you. 3 probably locks you in, and then borderline of whether you play in Dayton or not. I just don't see that happening for this team. They've never showed consistent life other than one small stretch in the middle of the season that still involved a miraculous comeback against A&M in that stretch where your first half was awful.
Yeah.
You beat Mizzou on a night where Mizzou probably played their worst game of the season or close to. And so I don't see it happening for this men's team. The OU game, I watched all of it, and it killed every last bit of feeling I had on this season. Yeah. I didn't get to watch Trey Johnson in that game because he went over 14, which is, I mean, the one good thing is I think Trey Johnson's going to go off in this game. He's probably going to score 40, and they're going to lose by 10.
Yeah, it's possible. Possible.
They have lost a game where he scored 39 this year to a bad or a very average Arkansas team.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not going to pick Texas to win another basketball game this season. That's obvious. In my opinion, you don't accept an NIT invitation. You just get ahead on rebuilding the program because it's hard to imagine Del Conte not pulling the trigger. It's kind of interesting. We haven't seen Del Conte in this position other than maybe last year with Pierce. Still, it felt like with going into the SEC, it made it more obvious. This year, you're not switching conferences, so it is a different situation than we've ever seen CDC in. I think it's like $5.5-6 million buyout is a lot in basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tom Herman buyout was like one of the top 5 largest buyouts in college football when it happened, and it's still like top 10, and that was $15 million. And so if you think about that in football terms compared to basketball, $5.5-6 million is a lot.
Yeah.
For basketball.
It is.
Even at Texas, which is not a basketball school. But I imagine donors are fired up enough about it that Del
It's a
Conte
women's
will.
basketball school.
Yeah, it is a women's basketball school. It is, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, Vic Schaefer has it rolling. I love Vic Schaefer, and I think people really bought behind that team and proved that Moody Center can be rocking, but it's a library during these men's games.
Yeah, I mean, we proved that Moody could rock even during the Chris Beard administration.
Even during the Rodney Terry, it was loud all last year in the Big 12 because they were winning big games.
Yeah,
they were a good team who made the tournament, won a game. I didn't really have a problem with last season, though I still thought they underperformed a little. But it was more of a underperformed a little, still were a solid team. Sure. He then hired a friend to run his offense, and this year has been a complete, not just bad showing, but an embarrassment. I mean, not making the tournament with one of the best players in Texas basketball history is shameful.
It is. It's a shame. But yeah, that friend is going to not only cost you his job, but it's going to cost you your job as well. So just is what it is. But yeah, Jake, I don't see this team matching up well against Vanderbilt. I don't see them winning this game. I think they're playing the worst stretch of basketball maybe I've ever seen a Texas basketball team play.
Still not as bad as the Chaminade season.
This stretch from South Carolina on to the end of the season is bad. It's
that whole season. I think they ended the year with a losing record that year that they lost to Chaminade.
It was a bad year. But yeah, this is a not great year for Texas basketball, at least one of the worst in recent memory. And so, yeah, it's not fun to watch. I'm ready for it to end. I will watch this for the sheer respect that I have for Trey Johnson. And I do want to watch him play his final game as a Texas Longhorn because I will not be able to see him again. And if he pulls some sort of magic and he's going to carry this team to a win, maybe even two, then, I'll be all aboard watching him in March Madness, but I don't see it happen. I don't feasibly see it happening.
Yeah. I mean, they're 17-14 and 6-12 in conference play. That's my final statement on this team.
Let's give a quick prediction then. Final thoughts. Final prediction.
88-72 Vanderbilt.
I'll say 85-68 Vanderbilt. I think it's going to be. I think they're going to blow the doors off at least come second half. It may be close in the first half, but I think they run away with it towards the end. I think this team's done playing. That's the vibe I've gotten from them. That the team is done playing. The coaches are done preparing. They kind of know where their fate is, and they've just lied down and made their bed, and now they're going to sleep in it. So that's kind of where I see where this program is right now. So lastly, Jake, well, not lastly, we have two more topics to discuss. Texas softball, the Ohio State Classic. It was a great showing for the girls, a clean sweep through their 5 games that they played, finishing with a win over Ohio State on Monday afternoon with a 4-2 win over Ohio State in Ohio State. Essentially, it was a home game for Ohio State. So, but beat Merrimack, Oakland, Kent State, and Dayton. Run ruled 3 of those teams, and then beat Dayton 6-1, beat Ohio State 4-2. But by the end of it, you're exhausted. The 4-2 probably would have been a lot worse if they were both coming in a week's rest, fresh. Texas softball probably dominates Ohio State. But with all that being said, you wrap up non-conference play with that tournament, with that clean sweep, and now you're heading into conference play coming on Friday against number 3 Florida in a rematch from the postseason a year ago, and in Gainesville. And yeah, that's how you start SEC play.
Yeah, they open SEC play with number 3 Florida, number 17 Auburn, number 21 Mississippi State, with 2 of those on the road, at Florida and at Mississippi State.
If you want to go Auburn a step further, then you've got Missouri to start in April. They are receiving votes.
And then number 7 Tennessee, number 4 LSU. Then you have a Wednesday game against number 15 Oklahoma State. Oh, then you have number 1 Oklahoma. And then you have number 23 Kentucky. Their one gate series in SEC play against a non-ranked team is against receiving votes Missouri.
Yep. Yep.
Every series is against a rate. That is unbelievable. I don't think I had fully registered that.
I hadn't registered that until we went down the schedule. I was like, well, let's just see how far this thing goes. And it goes until the SEC tournament. That's not to say these teams will be ranked when we play them. That is just what is scheduled. But
the majority of them are.
The majority of them. Kentucky may not be. Missouri may not be.
But it's hard to see Auburn falling out of the rankings in this. I mean, Mississippi State, they had a really bad couple series. But if you look at the rest of the season, they have Texas State and Stephen F. Austin. And then their only other non-conference game is ranked number 13 Oklahoma State. I mean, that is...
Yeah.
We're going to find out a lot about this women's softball team.
Well, that, and then if and when they make it to the postseason, Jake, because, I mean, I'm assuming they will make the postseason, but they will be battle-tested and ready to go come tournament time.
To say the least. They're essentially playing at mini Omaha.
They are
throughout the season.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jake,
I knew their schedule was hard. I didn't realize.
There's not a series on there that I wouldn't watch.
No, I mean, it's about to be, we've kind of been in a little bit of a lull. Texas basketball has been going on. Women's basketball has kind of been the main focus.
Yeah.
I think for both of us over the last, and then with hockey starting to kick into gear and us both starting to watch pretty much every Stars game, and now Texas baseball, Texas softball getting into SEC play. It's about to be a full grind again. Maybe even we'll talk about it off air, but maybe even kind of changing some things on our schedule as well, figuring that out as the season goes through. But it's about to be full swing mode again as far as all in horns go, because I'm sure we're going to talk about the Stars on here some, along with all the Texas sports that are about to be going with, I'd say, fairly big expectations for Texas baseball to at least be competitive with the upper echelons of the SEC.
Jake,
and then
you and I probably won't have a slowed down schedule until after baseball and softball season wrap up, and we're officially into like summer months of, the grind.
Yeah, which will be like, might have to take a week or we might record a couple weeks of episodes ahead of time at that point.
Yeah.
Just take a couple weeks and not do anything for a little bit at that point and start gearing up for football season, which is also a grind, but I don't think we'll ever complain about the grind.
College football off season is not nearly as interactive and busy as the NFL off season, not by a long shot.
No, other than the portal season, but as far as the summer off season part, it's pretty dead. We will probably hopefully get some comments of segment ideas people want to see. Leave it in the comments.
And I'm sure there'll be some recruiting news from time to time, but a lot of recruiting doesn't really happen over the summertime.
And I don't even want to cover summer recruiting that heavily because it just doesn't matter.
No.
It matters less now than ever, and it's never mattered much.
Right.
I mean, Texas was like out of the top 25 in recruiting rankings at one point in the summer last year. They ended number 1, and Texas fans were freaking out. And anyone that actually tracks recruiting under Sarkisian was all saying, "You're freaking out over nothing."
Yeah, let's chill out for a second. But Jake, let's go ahead and finish the episode off. Sark spoke to the media on Monday this week. He talked about injuries to C.J. Baxter, Christian Clark, both running backs. Derek Williams, who was injured very early on in this last season. He will be coming back to make his return. DeAndre Moore, that news, little iffy. And then Colton Vasek will not participate fully in spring practices. But Jake, any other further details and comments about these injuries that you want to hit on?
I was a little surprised to hear DeAndre Moore's name just because he was still playing really good football down the stretch. I mean, he had the biggest play in the SEC championship game. Hopefully whatever he's dealing with is not major. I think CJ Baxter, Christian Clark, Derek Williams, none of those are surprising. Colton Vasek, I knew he had some type of shoulder issue. I just wish he could get a full offseason in. It's just a little discouraging to hear his name just because you would love for him to get in a full offseason because you feel like he's right on the verge of breaking out into a really, really high-end edge player, NFL prospect type of guy.
Yeah.
Health has just been his biggest issue at Texas. So unfortunate to see his name on, but I'd say a good thing to not see too many names on here.
Yeah, no, and typically that list is extensively long when it comes to first of all, the amount of games Texas played this year, how long their season went with meaningful football. But you hear the news of Quinn Ewers. It wasn't just a strained oblique, it was a fully torn oblique. And it happened in week 2, not in week 3 like we thought. And,
And it didn't even happen in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hear that part? It happened on Monday.
Really?
After
Okay.
the game.
Wow. Okay. So that was for me, like, you get these little tidbits of information as the offseason goes on, and we hadn't really been able to fully hear from Sark until now. It looks like CJ Baxter is going to fully recover. He'll be ready to go. But Jake, some running back news that I found interesting was the emergence of Jarrett Gibson.
Yeah, the staff is really high on Gibson. I mean, he'll have a chance to be RB1 level of excitement about him. And I think we see you can kind of see that in the glances you saw from him last year. He's a Florida kid, and they kind of come in raw talent wise, typically very talented, but have to kind of adjust to the college game because in the state of Florida, they don't have an athletics period like the state of Texas and several other states do. So they get less practice time. They typically have less practice time off the field. He was at IMG Academy, which is about as close as you can get. That is a sports-focused private school, essentially. But they typically take a little more development. And so I think with another year of development, a year in the strength and conditioning program and everything, he's going to be, I mean, Wisner's going to be fighting to get playing time. Yeah. And that's with the season he just had. But the RB room is going to be revamped next year. As long as everyone can stay healthy through camp, we might bubble wrap the running backs. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I imagine there's got to be a little PTSD there for Sark. And I will say Sark did mention there are more guys than on that list that will start a little limited, but those are the guys that he expects to be limited throughout pretty much all of spring.
Yeah, yeah, and eventually make their way back. I think a lot of this, Jake, is precautionary. It's rehab. It's, let's get you back to 100% before we put pads on you, put you back on the field, making cuts, running this offense the way it needs to be ran at full speed, things of those sorts of things. I mean, I'm sure they'll be involved in walkthrough game planning and things like that come off season time and just regular conditioning workouts to get these guys back in shape. But in terms of like the contact, real deal stuff, yeah, they probably won't be participating in any of that stuff. Something you and I talked about is the ability to get Sark's run offense going. Not to say that we didn't get it going this last season, but to have the mobility option of your quarterback in Arch Manning to run a true RPO system with the zone reads of a Jarrett Gibson or a CJ Baxter being included into this offense, along with Trey Wisner, obviously, maybe even a Christian Clark getting in a rotation of some sorts. I don't know where he's going to officially fit in. But then you've got the insane young up-and-coming talent at wide receiver for this RPO offense that Sark likes to run. But now you've got the mobility of a full running back room, back healthy, and the addition to Arch's mobility as a quarterback. This does incredible things for the offense because you can run a true RPO, meaning if Arch wants to have a run option in terms of a quarterback keeper, he now has that. He can hand it off to the running back. He can also obviously pass it to one of the wide receivers or tight ends, whatever that read is. But a lot of responsibility is going to fall on Arch Manning making the right read within that first half second to a second when it comes to whatever that read is going to be on the RPOs.
Yeah, I think there's a handful of factors, along with the ones you just said, that make me optimistic the run game will be better next year. This will be a great summer topic to really dive into the weeds of it. But at a high level, what you mentioned, the QB's ability to run the ball, and Arch's comfortability with the RPO system, but also the deep ball is going to be a more reliable aspect of the passing game, I think, without a doubt.
Who's the best deep ball threat right now? Wingo?
I'd go DeAndre Moore with Arch, just based off the sample size we've seen. Not a huge sample size, but DeAndre Moore's a kind of sneaky burner. because of his long strides, his long, lengthy legs. Kind of like how Vince Young was a lot faster than
He
he
looked
looked
on the field.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But those long strides, that's kind of how DeAndre Moore runs in a way. And we saw him and Arch have a great connection. I expect Wingo, though, will be right there, but there's so much speed. I mean, there's going to be so much speed at
Well, you
wide
talked about the
receiver for
5
Texas.
stars. Jake, I was kind of, this discussion was had on X, the Everything app, where does Michael Terry, the 5-star athlete, fall, where he played running back, he played wide receiver, played a little bit of defense. Now, yes, he's coming in as a quote unquote wide receiver. For me, there are certain guys that if you can't necessarily find a niche for, we've had guys that have come through this system where it's like, Savion Red, were you a wide receiver? Were you a running back? Where did you fit in with this offense? A Ryan Niblett, are you a running back? Are you a wide receiver? Like
Playing defense now.
You're
playing some defense now.
like, so my thing is like this team or this coaching staff will find a spot for you, but after how many years? Like when are we going to find this niche? And does Michael Terry kind of fall in that for me? That's kind of where I'm at with him. I don't think he's one of the top 5 wide receivers on this roster. So do they want to put him strictly like special teams guy and he's kick returner? Is it going to, that's kind of where I'm very interested in our offseason topics of what is Sark's and this coaching staff's mindset on some of these players that are young, up and coming, still a lot to prove, and how they fit into this roster.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie French has a ton of speed. McCutcheon has a ton of speed. That speed is not going to be an issue at wide receiver. I don't think talent is going to be an issue at wide receiver.
Speed doesn't always get you open down the field, though. It helps.
No, but getting open down the field is not going to be an issue for this wide receiver core. And with a QB that can effectively throw the deep ball consistently, like Arch will be able to, is going to open up the run game, which is kind of back to what I was originally talking about. The other things I think that are going is I think Sark's run game relies a lot on the interior offensive line. And I think the interior offensive line as a run blocking unit is going to be actually better next year. Neto is a run blocking specialist. You're going to have Cole Hudson at center more than likely. And you're going to have a third-year DJ Campbell coming back, third-year starter DJ Campbell coming back, who's also very effective in the run game. I think that interior line is going to open up the run game more. Now, I will say pass blocking is not going to be as good. Without a doubt, it's not going to be as good as last season. Last season was incredible from a pass blocking perspective.
Right.
But Arch will help with some of that with his mobility. If they can get everything to gel, which is not necessarily going to happen week 1, especially when you're playing at Ohio State week 1, and with how young this offense, it's going to be a very young offense. I think just by the end of the season, the offense is going to be better than this past season's offense. I think by a significant margin as well.
I think I think this offense has a lot of potential, and I'm going to leave it at optimistically, potentially a very dynamic offense, even in year 1. Even
the ceiling is sky. The ceiling is the roof.
It is very yeah.
I've used that a couple times now, but I don't care. It's funny.
Yeah. But it is a great, like, where this offense could possibly be is in my opinion, like, not just a notch above last year's offense, but I'm talking like 3 or 4 notches above what we saw this offense last year.
Because the run game never hit its stride against top rushing defenses.
Yeah.
They struggled against Georgia every time they played Georgia. They struggled against Arizona State. They struggled well against Ohio State.
Oklahoma has a good run defense, and they
But that was just from Oklahoma's defense being on the field the whole game, because their offense was one of the worst offenses I've ever seen in college football history.
Yeah. No,
I mean, that had more to do with the Oklahoma offense than it did the Texas offense. And OU's defense was really good, but it still wasn't a Georgia. It wasn't an Ohio State. Yeah. And it apparently wasn't even Arizona State.
My biggest thing is, as much talent and just raw skill that the wide receivers have, it is more than just running really fast on the football field. It is. It's going to take crisp routes and IQ to get open and find open space. I have no issue or qualms about the receivers getting schemed open with the scheme. That's not an issue for me, but running the offense, getting the offense down, being on the same page with Arch, having an offseason to do that, being young, a lot of them either redshirt freshmen or true freshmen or second-year starters. And so that's kind of where, if there is one question mark, and then obviously the offensive line being a relatively, new offensive line, not young, but a new offensive line. I think those would be the only two things that, if I see Texas stumble throughout the year or finding tough breaks, I find it with those two positions more than I do anywhere else.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the offensive line is where I agree the most, because I am worried about the pass blocking, and I'm still worried about the run blocking getting going early on in the season. And when you open up against Ohio State, that could be one loss right away.
Hey,
and
Jake, did you recognize this? This will be the first year that Steve Sarkisian coaches a game without Jake Majors.
That's actually a really good point. Now, granted, you have more than likely Cole Hudson taking the center position, and feel pretty confident that he's going to have things figured out. But I just think that this offense has a higher ceiling, and you have Wingo and DeAndre Moore back. It's not like you don't have anything at wide receiver that's proven. Wingo and DeAndre Moore led the team in receiving in 3 or 4 of the games last year. I mean, that's not nothing.
No, I'm not. My thing is more, if we have a couple nicks and bruises and bumps along the road, which we probably will, who do we trust that's going to step up? Who does the coaching staff trust that's going to step up?
And look out for Parker Livingston as well. Really excited about him.
Where I'm more interested are these guys that you just, Parker Livingston, a guy who has been on the roster 1 or 2 years, whether redshirt or true sophomore, whatever it is, that hasn't really been seen in the rotation and game time, but who's going to have the trust of this coaching staff in the playbook and being able to run the right stuff.
Yeah, it's just one of those deals where I think the best way to put it is the offense's ceiling is higher than I think it's ever been under Steve Sarkisian, but the floor is also lower than the offenses we've seen to this point.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
I think that's a fair statement.
I'm not saying I think they'll hit that floor. I think
they might not hit the floor. They may not hit the ceiling. It might be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. More than likely that's where it ends up, at least for a lot of the season. But I think by the end of the year, they could be hitting that ceiling. The question is, for the time it's going to take them to gel, can you avoid dropping 2 to 3 games?
Right.
Or really 3 games. If you lose 2, you're still in the playoffs if you go on a roll. But you got to avoid getting that 3rd loss.
Yeah.
And so, when you open the season against Ohio State,
and do you just not make it to the SEC championship or win the SEC championship, Lane Kiffin? Do you just make the tournament, trying to avoid the conference championship?
I mean, Texas would have been less banged up if they didn't make the SEC title game, and if they had the same road, it would have been better for them not playing in that game. I just
hate that. I hate saying.
Oh, I hate that point of view, but to me, that's in this offseason topic. But we have started to officially hear the rumblings that the conference title games will be going away, and that's something I said I was actually in support of a little early, even though I don't like that, but at the same time, it's an old way of thinking. I think
it's where the format and where college football is today, period.
And it's where every other level of college football is at. It's where every other level of football is at. There aren't these conference title games, which were really only there to appease a format that didn't have a playoff.
Sure.
And I've always been for an expanded playoff being the format, because it is the only level of football where that is not the case.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's episode, Jake. It has been your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. We release these episodes Tuesday through Saturday. As we approach March Madness, Jake and I are going to get on a new schedule for the tournament games, and it'll essentially be a live reaction after every single day of the tournament, whether that be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have a live reaction, upload those videos. So there may not be an exact time that we come out with these videos. The days might be a little sporadic and a little crazy, but we want to give you the most up-to-date live response that we have for March Madness, despite when that might occur. So, again, it's coming up. Be aware of it. We will get there together. And March Madness right around the corner. We're super excited for it. Football season, NFL draft, all the things coming right up. And we're going to cover it all for you right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For Jake Jimerson, I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.